Hi everyone, it's Tim Topham here from topmusic.co, and I'm delighted to have Paul and Gillian from Piano Teaching Success here at Piano Pivot Live 2020 in order to record some fantastic interviews with our speakers and give you a bit of a backstage pass. And if you really want to immerse yourself in what Piano Pivot is really like, and if you enjoy this interview, then make sure you grab one of our virtual tickets. The virtual tickets are fully edited professional recordings of our speakers actually on stage doing their thing, live teaching, keynote workshops. And if you want to grab that, head to pianopivotlive.com/virtual. We'll see you there.
Hi, well, we're here at Piano Pivot Live in Melbourne, in beautiful Melbourne, in cooler Melbourne today. We had a very hot day tomorrow, and yesterday, and I'm very excited to have as our first guest Samantha Coates.
Thank you, Gillian.
And I think the piano teaching community around the world knows you for all of your amazing theory books, musicianship books, sight reading books that are just available everywhere. So, we're so lucky to have you here. And
thank you.
Thank you for talking to us about the good, the bad, and the ugly of tech, really, of the internet world, and what it's what it means for us in our workplace as piano teachers, because we are the first. You talked about this morning about digital natives and digital adopters,
digital immigrants.
Immigrants, which most of us were digital immigrants.
Yes.
And
digital refugees.
That's right. Some people have called them dinosaurs. I think I've heard some articles about that. Yes, and most people actually, most of us are digital immigrants, and we are metering the challenge of taking on board this new technology. So what were the three areas that you felt that were important to consider?
Well, certainly social media, and then sharing platforms like YouTube, and then accessibility of resources. So I was just talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of those. It's our job as teachers to try and ignore the ugly and filter out the bad and embrace the good.
Yes.
So with Facebook, Facebook has changed piano teachers' lives, there's no doubt. Because we used to be so isolated, and now we know that everybody's got the same problems, everybody's dealing with the same issues, and we wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for Facebook. And we can learn from each other so easily on Facebook, and we can get instant advice from each other. It's really fantastic. And there are just some ugly things that go on that we have to ignore.
And it's sometimes hard to ignore those.
It is sometimes hard to ignore.
Isn't it?
But we don't want to deter young teachers. We want to be examples. We want to mentor younger teachers. And so I think that whilst Facebook is good, in-person mentoring is really, really good. And certainly my advice to any young teacher who finds they're getting lots of advice, conflicting advice, find a mentor that you trust in real life, or just a one-on-one relationship, and listen to that person.
I think the other thing in terms of that, like you've got the social media, which is where you can often find out about things, because if we used to be quite isolated, this isolation you talk about, and now though with the world of the internet we can find out about courses that are on, and I know you're going off to the Music Teachers National Association MTNA convention in Chicago.
Yes, in Chicago.
As we are too.
And also the Expo in London before that.
Yes.
So it used to be that the only way we could connect as teachers would be to attend conferences live.
Yes.
But now there's a way to attend conferences virtually, as a lot of people are for Piano Pivot Live. But also just to connect on an ongoing basis through social media, and to be able to get professional development on an ongoing basis through social media. It's not just communication for us.
And there's just such a need for this, for professional development, really. I mean, there's always been a need for professional development, because largely, particularly in Australia and perhaps the UK, maybe not as much in the US, but many teachers fall into teaching and haven't done a degree that majors in pedagogy, and they start teaching the way they were taught.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. And it's all very well to do that, and you might have been taught extremely well. But if you don't embrace the changes in life, then we're not keeping up with what our students want.
I think one of the things you said, which I really loved, is that we're raising the piano teachers of tomorrow.
Yes.
And we only have to see the number of here. How many people were our natives? They're already teaching piano.
Yes.
And we are raising those, and they are going to do it differently. And it's our challenge, isn't it, to some extent, to meet to make the leap, and help make the leap. So, what would you hope that teachers got away from today?
Well, I really hope probably the main thing is to understand that it's our job to curate the internet for our students, because they have access to so much and not all of it is fantastic. And so we have to help them embrace all the good bits that the internet has to offer. There are some very, very popular things on YouTube, for example, like synesthesia tutorials.
You did talk about that, and that was really clever how you utilised that.
And it's very popular because YouTube teaches by rote. YouTube's the ultimate rote teacher. But that doesn't mean there's no place for rote, because I've come to embrace rote teaching a lot in my own studio, and in the last couple of years I've written an entire repertoire series that is designed to get from rote to reading. But I let rote be the starting point and then use pattern association to get to reading. It's not that rote should be in a box of its own where we bypass notation and then we never get to that notation for that piece. So if students do learn from YouTube by rote, it's really important for us as teachers to help them move towards the notation and make those associations. And then with resources, we have to curate those as well for our students, because they can access so much free sheet music which isn't particularly well edited or typeset, and they don't know that. The students don't know that. We know that. If something's got ridiculously large chords that no one can stretch, or an inappropriate number of accidentals, students just find it difficult to read, and then they're put off sight reading, so that's a shame. So we have to be really, really vigilant. So I think the one takeaway that I hope teachers got from this morning was about embracing all that the internet has to offer, but being very, very responsible for being the curators for our students, because that's the legacy that we want to leave. We want to go with it, with their enthusiasm, not dampen their enthusiasm for coming to lessons with their own agendas, as they often do. We just need to embrace it and encourage.
And how they're kind of the navigators. That's how we had a generation, the silent generation, that learnt everything. My mother learnt everything by memory. And then there's been various different sorts of metamorphosis of that along the way. But I think now, even my kids, navigators. We learn some stuff, but we know how to find our path. And so, to some extent, I guess what you were advocating today was help your students find that path and guide them, be their expert guidance.
Absolutely. We've got to be their expert guide, but also rolling with their enthusiasm, because why would you not go with the students' enthusiasm? That's the best way to ensure that they're going to keep playing piano when they're older.
Yes, and that's really what we're all about, isn't it?
It is.
That's great. Well, thank you, Samantha. I thoroughly enjoyed your session this morning.
Thank you. Thanks, Gillian.